agency banking is supposed to deepen financial inclusion in the country, but there are questions as to, is it the need that they are meeting or the cost? Which one outweighs the other? We'll try to see if we can get a balance between these two perspectives this afternoon with Director, Research and Business Intelligence with Business Front Limited, Mr. Yinka Awosoye. Mr. Awosoye is in the studio with us. Good afternoon and welcome to the program.
Hi, good afternoon.
So, which one outweighs need or cost? Because, I mean, agent banking is supposed to deepen financial inclusion. Yes. And truth is, you go to areas where you don't have traditional banks and all of that, you can always depend on the third-party banks and that, but it comes at a cost. And so which one is heavier?
So it's about accessibility. So if you take agency banking now, in Nigeria, we have over 1.9 million agents across the country. And then for traditional banks, only about 4,500 branches. So you look at that gap, and then they are not so scattered across the country, unlike the agents. So that's that. So then for cost, so the report that we released last month says there are people that have banks close to them. About 80% of people that have banks close to them still prefer to use the agency banking guys, because for them it's so rather than saying you're doing a kilometer or 500 meters to get to the nearest commercial bank, there is someone under an umbrella just a few meters away from you. So that accessibility.
So agent banks or bankers have made customers lazy.
No, so it's about so it's closer to me to go to the guy does next door.
But costs more. Sometimes it does feel like we are buying naira in Nigeria, and that's really annoying.
Yeah, it costs more. So if you are in Lagos, yeah, you can say it costs more. But if you are outside Lagos, in places whereby the town, the nearest town, or like 3-4 towns away, there are no traditional banks, so that means you have to travel. So you're looking at that cost. But if you're in the city like Lagos, definitely. But if you're outside Lagos, outside Abuja, or any other state capital, you are really going to have to travel.
So if this arm in the financial sector is supposed to help accelerate financial inclusion, why does it have to? I mean, I know you said if you're outside because you don't have an option, not that it doesn't cost you, but because you don't have an option, then you now wait and say it doesn't. But why can't it be easier or cheaper?
So they are in the business to make money. So
I thought the major aim was actually to drive financial inclusion. That's what I thought.
Yes, so that's financial inclusion. At the end of the day,
but they're just there to make money.
Exactly, the underlying fact. So which is why it doesn't make sense for traditional banks to say, let's have branches all across the country, across all the 774 local government. But then it doesn't make financial sense for them to say, let's just be establishing branches. It's capital intensive. But these guys, for them, it's not capital intensive. But then even at that, they still need to make money at the end of the day, pay the guys that are there and cover every other cost.
What about the risks? Some people are afraid of using POS and all of that.
Yes, so the
exposure, the risks that comes with.
So the risk, yes, there's a risk, but then even traditional banks, they see the risk of you go to a bank. So there are cases where you see pictures of people that say they've scammed those that came to withdraw. So it's all across. But then, so for POS now, so you can transact POS without giving them your card. You can't do transfer to them without having to give them your cash. And if it's a cash transaction, if you are the one making the deposit, so it's completely out of, there is no risk involved. So just give them the cash and then they do the transaction for you. And if you're making a withdrawal, you can do transfer. So it's still, yes, there is risk, but then you can, there's a limit to the risk.
What about the allegation that they also work with some, they see the criminals and they work with them, they help them to get out the money, the kidnappers and all of that?
Yes, so that's right. But then even the banking also has that. So, and this is not to say that yes, because the banking, there is also people in the banking that are also perpetrating fraudulent activities. But then for these guys, so that might then be a case of putting a framework, a structure in place to guide against activities like this to make sure that yes, if you are running an agency banking and POS agent, there are transactions that you should not partake in. Transactions that you should not, if you go beyond a particular threshold, you should not do it. So take the payment service bank, for instance, in Nigeria. So there are limitations to the kind of services that a payment service bank in Nigeria can offer. So it might be having similar things. Okay, yes, if you are going to be operating, doing agency banking, so there are certain services you can order. There should be a limit to the transaction. There should be a transaction threshold and all that. So that will curb stuff like that, and then having detailed information of the people you are transacting with. So that might go a long way in making sure that yes, even if the transaction has been conducted, so you can still go back to your books and say, okay, yes.
So I guess that's why, the other time the CAC was talking about getting POS agents registered, because every POS agent under an umbrella is supposed to be connected to a bigger company to ensure that you can trace their transaction, super agent. But that's not really what's going on. That's the fact.
Okay, so it's cases whereby if something happened to your bank account and you go and report to the bank will ask you to go to a police station to get an authorization for them to look into what happened to your account. So that's bottleneck. It's still the same thing to them, because if you say someone transacted, did the transaction on your account and you can't go to the person directly because you don't know the person, let me go to the bank or go to the super agent that these guys are using. At the end of the day, you are directed to go to a police station to getting that. You are already looking at the cost implication, the time you are going to waste, and at the end of the day, are you really going to get?
But I'm saying that a lot of them are not connected to super agents.
Yeah, so the last one, I believe there is a time frame for every POS agents to be registered. No, they're actually connected. You can't do without. You are actually going through a super agent. The likes of these neobanks are doing. Yes, they are super agents. You get that, they have the license. So every POS agent have a super agent that is managing them.
So every man or woman on the street we see with,
Yes, they have a super agent that they are going through a super agent.
Either by real or by fake.
They are super agents. Yeah, having a super agent get it for you.
All right. But what would you say we can do to, make better use of this third-party agents?
Okay, so because they are here to stay, because of the fact that they make financial services accessible to the people, what the banks cannot do. They have the opportunity to do that, and banks are also using them. So it's just to make sure that yes, there are policies, frameworks in place that guide both the users as well as the operators to make sure that yes, there is everybody is protected.
But it still doesn't feel good to buy Naira, in
No, it still doesn't feel good.
It still doesn't feel good at all.
Yes, but if you go to a bank, if you go to an ATM bank now to withdraw 20,000 Naira, you are paying more than what you're supposed to pay as at a couple of months ago. So that's increased. So even from your bank, you are still paying.
Depends. All right, thank you so much, Inka Osoya, Director, Research and Business Intelligence at Business Front Limited. Thank you for your time and views.
Thank you.